Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.
I'm appalled at what you said on that pod thing. It's disgusting.
This is the After the Show podcast. It's where we get honest and real with yo ass. So sit back, relax, have a blast, cause it's time for the After the Show podcast.
What up, witches?
What up, witches?
How's everybody doing? It is Jay Bird and Denny's today for the After the Show podcast. Everyone's left our ass, Denny's.
It's just like hands trying to hold water, just running out. You only got us two left.
So if you are watching on KVJ TV, I know not everyone does the visual thing and you just listen to it, but if you look at KVJ TV right now, you can see my notes for the After the Show podcast. And tell me, does that not look like a murderer's ransom note? I mean, I have the worst handwriting ever.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. Like, if somebody left that on my car because I bumped into them or something, I would think they're murdering me before I actually read it and been like, oh, all right, sorry, I just owe these people money.
So back in the day at the Palm Beach Ale House, I don't think it's there anymore, but there was this person who would always walk around, and they were a handwriting analyst, and they would sit down after you had a couple of drinks. They'd have you write something down, and then they would analyze it. Say, okay, well, this means you're this, and that you are insecure about having children. Like it would have, supposedly have
There's a
some
whole
kind of profile about what you are. What are your thoughts? Do you believe in that kind of science, or is that just a bunch of malarkey?
Well, I've seen it in the past, exactly what you're talking about, and I mean, I guess there could be some validity to it, because think about it, if a person's bold, if a person's expressive, they probably will try to show that in their penman strokes, I'd imagine, whether it be art, because if so I write really tiny. I wonder if there's some sort of like thesis behind it, but I write very tiny and I write very like deliberate. It's not big circles, it's not big showy things. It's very like precise and boom. I'm like signature boom.
Very technical.
Yeah, a little bit technical, and I guess that could. I guess if you were to say it, maybe I'm a little bit more reserved. I won't necessarily, at the party, like, Keck said, I'm not like that. But, like, so I wonder if my writing actually does reflect that slightly, because I do write a little bit more concise.
Well, the woman who analyzed my handwriting, she did know, and I write like I am writing in a hurry to rob a bank to get out of there. She's like, I can tell you're a bit of an anxious person just by the way you don't connect. It was something like, you don't connect your R's a certain way. That shows you are an anxious person that has a small penis. No, she didn't say that.
I was going to say.
I don't think you can tell your peen size from your handwriting.
Pretty incredible, though.
It would be. Suits, how are you doing? You're joining us for the After the Show podcast.
I'm good. I'm excited to hang in here. I actually can get some time off KVJ TV. This is fun.
Yeah, so if you're in the chat room and you want to ask Suits anything, ask her questions. We'll delve into what's behind those eyeballs.
Didn't really sign off on this, but all right, let's do it.
Yeah, we'll go with the flow.
Suits has been behind the scenes running around.
It's been a crazy day.
So the show was a little crazy today. We went in here really kind of running on nothing, just because we weren't supposed to do we weren't supposed to do shows today.
Yep. They were supposed to be best ofs, and then it was a last minute not last minute, but it was
pretty close.
It was a close executive decision to do so, which is awesome because we like entertaining everyone.
Oh, we love doing shows. We just want to make sure we got the right weapons to go to war.
Precisely, that's exactly right.
And we like to give you guys a little behind the scene look at stuff, just so you guys know why certain things happen.
Yeah.
So a couple comments we got today was, why weren't you guys doing any goofy stuff? The VJD stuff always does goofy stuff. Well, for a good 2.5 hours, our phones were just gone. And everything we had planned that was goofy, it needed phones.
So we, much like a Kevin, we write out the prep. Bert will put it all together, and it's all in a time frame. And so when we have ideas for things to do, and then our phones don't work, and 2 of those ideas required phone calls, it kind of makes us we have to jump to something later. We have to fill that void and then try to come back and correct it if we can. So we got phones later, so we jump back to some topics that involve some calls.
And then being down a person, we usually have somebody to help us out with props, stuff like that, filming, and we had it on the schedule. I know that, for example, the phones were not working. So on the fly, we had to go into something with 10 seconds left. And this just shows you make the wrong call sometimes. I was not a big fan of today's What Do You Want to See Us Do?
Yeah.
It was going into it, I knew I didn't love the idea, but at that moment, that was really all we had because everything
We
else...
had 2 call bits we couldn't do.
Well, everything was thrown off because not only that, we had to promote a radio contest.
It's true.
So those are all the little things sometimes that you may not understand as an audience member that does fuck up the flow of things. But I just want to give you a behind the scenes look.
And we're like on top of our show prep schedule, there's actually commercial schedules as well. So we have to follow behind. There's a lot of, I guess, invisible red tape that everybody has to follow by.
And if you don't hit your commercials, that's honestly, anytime we really get in trouble is if something messes up with the commercials. Because commercials is what pays everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look, we don't like commercials either. It's just one of those things you have to accept. When it comes to the regular show, it's what pays everything.
It does. But yeah, that's just kind of a glimpse into like what it's like. Some of the chaos sometimes.
Oh man!
Because a lot of times people are driving in their car, they're just hearing bits, they don't think about it.
Well, Virginia's a major planner. She plans everything out in her life, and she had planned that this was going to be a best of week. So she had a Rocco dentist appointment today at 9:30. We find out, a day and a half later that we're doing.
Well, all those are planned ahead of time, a week ahead.
She's not happy about that.
Yeah.
Mom was all pissed.
Well, because she doesn't want to bounce out during the show. It's just, it's like the prior obligations, though. It's just like we said. Thanks for everybody hanging in there. We kind of a little chaotic.
All right, the questions are already coming in from the chat room.
All right, what do you got?
Chris M, very benign question.
Oh, it's Chris M.
No, he is. I'm surprised. It's Suits. Who's your favorite rapper? You get one.
Rapper?
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of rap, so
this is a good time.
That's weird. I always pegged you for a rap guy.
For the world to get to know a little bit more about Suits, we know you're in the dating world, trying to be in the dating world. Favorite rapper of all time?
Eminem's pretty good. I think he's solid.
I ended up really liking Eminem. I fucking could not stand Eminem growing up, and it was that Mariah Carey
that Pull Jam
battle rap, he did it, and I thought it was so good. And then I just started listening to other stuff that he did, and that just shows you sometimes you hate on stuff that you don't fully get.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely. So my experience with Eminem was different because my buddy lent me that album when the Slim Shady LP first came out. So we were on the pioneering front of Eminem. And you want to hear a funny story? We were at Warped Tour. It had to be Warped Tour like 2001. Or maybe even 2000, and Eminem was there on the bill, and he was playing right before Blink-182, and he cut his set short because he got booed off stage. People wanted to hear rock music, not rap music.
That's gotta
Isn't that
suck,
weird?
man. If you are an artist on a bill where you know that it's gonna be, if it's all rap and then you are doing a pop song.
Well, Warped Tour is known for kind of like that punk rock music, maybe that pop rock music, just rock music in general. So it was kind of weird that they had Eminem on it, especially early on in his career. It was weird to have him cut his set short. He left so Blink-182 could go up. You could never imagine that happening now.
And he was controversial too, and I think
Absolutely.
I mean, he deliberately, try to get people to listen.
He
to
liked
him.
the hype of it
yeah.
because I'm sure there was no Twitter back then, but he was writing letters to people probably.
I remember you were doing. We were trying to learn, what was that one part of the Eminem song?
It's the that really fast talking part.
Yeah.
At one point, you were pretty good. You were practicing.
It
Now,
was,
if someone came in right now and said Suits for $500,000, you have to rap that part. Could you do it?
I don't even know if I remember all the words to it. It was
Try to go for it. 3, 2, 1, go.
Shamalama Dumalama. Man, I forgot the words. If I had the words in front of me, I think I could do it.
Yeah, I think you could too because you got the flow down of
You
it.
did it really good. Pull up
But
the
you
words.
spent
Let me pull up the lyrics.
he spent a whole day practicing that.
It is.
I wanted to crush it.
He wanted to crush
What's that
it.
song? What is that song?
Rap God, and we're
Rap
gonna look
God.
up the fast part. It's towards the end of it.
That's such a jam. Yeah. Shimalama.
So Eminem's an interesting figure because, like a Fred Durst, he started off hated in everyone's face. He's like, I don't care about you. He was very in the media, the person that people hated.
Just think about it.
But later in life, both them cats kind of chilled out. I think that level of fame at that young of an age is a tough thing to handle, and I think a lot of them come out of it a little bit different.
I'm a big fan of when somebody is kind of jerky and then they become humble and they own that they were a bit douchey. I like when that happens. It does make me like that celebrity more, or not even celebrity, just person.
Well, when you're young, you could easily have those feelings of grandeur. I think it's a part of being young. There's an invincibility feeling, and then I think mortality sets in.
What was your douchiest phase in your entire life, and you look back and go, ugh?
It had to be 18 to 21 was got to be awful. I would not even want to be friends with me at that time.
What was the worst thing about an 18 to 21-year-old Denny's?
Well, like I said, in school I struggled with insubordinance. It just was, you tell me not to do something, I wanted to do it. It almost was more encouraging.
Were you just a party animal?
Yeah, I was very into drugs, rock and roll, the whole nine. Just that lifestyle in general.
All right, so you're the young buck on the show. When was your douchiest time, if you had to think?
Douchiest phase,
or even cringy. It doesn't have to be douchey. It could be cringy.
Cringiest would probably be my early years, so late middle school into early high school. And because I was in private schools that were small, and I got thrown into the public school world in some of the larger schools in Broward County, and I just did not interact very well with the kids there. I was so quiet and awkward. I think for sure that was my cringiest phase of my life by far.
Yeah. It's tough,
That's an
man.
awkward time, man. Nobody, like you've brought up many times before, Bird. That's that transitional period when you're finding the opposite or the same sex attractive, but you're also still kind of into the things you were into as a kid.
When you are developing crushes and you get those butterfly feelings. I mean, we've all had that where you like somebody and you can't eat, and I think that's a younger person's game. I don't know. I think the capability of butterflies are still there.
Absolutely. I think it's far and fewer in between as you get older, just because you've had many more experiences.
Agreed. But because I was definitely like 7th grade, 8th grade, that was such a tough time for me.
Yeah.
Because I was still I was still a kid. I was a child, but still getting those stirrings, and you start to play with yourself, and you're having crushes, and you're crossing over innocence to sexuality.
It's a really weird place to be.
It is. It's a weird place to be as a human.
Well, you're adding a new need to your life during that time frame. Because think about it. You wake up, you have to get sleep in order to function. You have to eat food in order to function. But now you also have this feeling of sex creeping on that you never had before, but it fills that type of role, meaning like if you try to push it off, you have to take discipline mentally in order to push off sex naturally. It's a tough thing to push off. It's something that consumes our thoughts every minute or so.
Yeah, and when you have a crush, I don't know how you guys were, but would you kind of sometimes plan your parts of your day so you would be able to have an interaction with them?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I know I sound
fancy seeing you here. Clearly it was premeditated.
Oh, I didn't know you lived on Dogwood Avenue.
I didn't know you walked by here at 2 p.m. Yeah, no, dude, I mean, even to the level of, and I guess this is something that every person goes through as they're kids, but I would sit and think of every scenario of dialogue we could possibly have. I'm like, if she says this, I'm going to say this. And if she says this, I'll say this. But if she doesn't say this, I have this.
I did a lot of that.
And then when you get in the situation, you're just like, blah, 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 you can't even get any of your thoughts together.
They'd say something to you, and you would respond with the most cringiest thing that was nothing like what you originally planned. And it was the worst. Oh, when I was a Casanova in my mind beforehand. As soon as I actually said something out loud, it was terrible.
Oh, totally.
Oh, I mean, when I first started having crushes, my game was so weak. It was terrible.
Mine was awful.
Well, just trying to talk to a girl. Well, I mean, I would get so nervous. The nerves in my stomach before you're getting ready to, ask to borrow a pencil or just to try to say something funny. And sometimes it wouldn't go well. They'd be confused, and then you'd carry that all day long. Like, shit, man, why did I say that?
Totally.
Damn it, why? That wasn't funny, Bird. Come on.
Well, like what we were talking about earlier, Virginia said with age, you gain confidence, and that's something that you do get as you get older, and it's pretty crazy. Like things that I gave so much of a fuck about earlier, I could give a shit about now. Like it doesn't even matter to me.
In my early teen years growing up, I was so self-conscious of my sweaty armpits.
Yeah.
And it's not one of those things.
I still got them.
So when I'm nice and calm, I am not at all sweaty. But if we're doing the show live, I'm sorry, man. I'm one F-bomb saying fuck on the air. Anything can happen on the live show. So it's good to be on your game and slightly anxious, I should say.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It's good to have a little bit. I think that for people that never goes away. Like my feelings, the things that I get anxious about never go away.
Agreed.
What it is I've just gotten better at controlling my ability to handle them.
You learn to manage it.
You learn to manage it, and that's really what the name of the game is. There's things, no matter what, unfortunately, man, when you're born, there's a dice roll.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, you're going to get a little bit of craziness. Oh, you're going to get a little bit of worry, but you're also going to get a lot of talent. You're also going to get this. Whatever that concoction comes up as the person you are created, you are going to have to live with that shit for the rest of your life.
And to your point, when you're saying, things you don't give a shit about, I mean, I used to be so nervous being around, a class, having sweaty arms, getting up there and speaking, and then having I'm talking armpit sweat to my nipples, and then trying to act like I'm cool. All right, chicks, look at me. It's fucking terrible. Okay?
Yeah.
It's terrible. But then you realize everyone's got an issue with something. So that guy might not sweat on his armpits, but he nervously farts sometimes, or he stutters, or he spits on people. Everyone's got something that they're insecure about. And I think when you accept that and realize that, it does help so slightly.
Everybody's got something they're insecure about. Like I dated this girl who you would consider like a good-looking girl for sure, and she was always so worried about her feet smell. It was just like a comment. I was like, nah, that's my fine, blah, blah, blah. But like, that was her thing. And I was like, why are you worried about that? That's like something I don't really worry about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the foot fetish community that listens to our podcast, you just gave them all a boner.
Tell us about her arches.
Make them come.
How bad did they smell? All right, Suits.
It's a podcast. I feel free here. I don't get to do this stuff. Fuck it.
It's always weird. It's always weird to hear Suits.
It's funny because behind the scenes with Denny's, I'm always cursing like crazy.
Yeah,
I'm so reserved when I come in here because I'm so nervous.
Well, a lot of times you come on air and you give us like news reports, so you don't get to throw the C word in there.
Yeah, you're talking about an accident at Hypoluxo, and there's traffic back up, and then you're coming. It's a little unsettling.
Different side.
Yeah.
The left-hand lane may be blocked. Jizz everywhere.
Suits, what are you insecure about? Come on,
I've always been a little insecure. I mean, with the weight thing, and it took me a while. You guys remember I lost a lot of weight, and that actually came from a bit. You talk about how you had that moment where it was that article that they kind of like
swimming across the channel.
Yeah.
And it kind of made you change. That was the same thing with me. It was when I got catfished by Kentucky John. And the main reason was...
He would have been good, though. It.
Well, we just went on, and we couldn't get calls. Like, we were having trouble getting people to call in for that bit. And I'm like, man, like...
Well, that you can't get in your head because, honestly, I mean, there are stats that show it. Majority of people who listen to a radio show don't call in. It's
very true.
I think it's like 2% of your audience calls in. And even now, in modern day times... radio calls are on the decline.
Even more diminished.
It's all texting.
It's all, and that's sad because I like hearing from people. So if you are listening to this and you all debate whether you want to text or call, please call us. We do like to have the interaction. It's a dying art in radio. Go
Absolutely,
on.
and time of day plays a part in that.
So I tell you that so you don't get so down.
Well, when I first got on the show too, and it's kind of weird to fall into this business because you talk about how when you're younger you care so much about other things, and that stuck with me for a while. So I kind of had to grow thick skin when I got on the show because people will say, as you guys know, they'll say some fucked up shit. So I'm sitting here.
So it's the first month in radio. I try to fight everybody on social media.
Oh, it was terrible. I take it home with me.
Who the fuck is this guy? Oh yeah, I mean, you learn to get used to. You learn to become numb.
That kind of stuck with me, and I did. I ended up losing the weight, and I feel a lot better about myself now. And I've also just learned, what the fuck does it matter what somebody says about me? I don't care.
Well, I do. I'm a big fan of taking negativity, especially, hater comments, and then churning it and turning it into something that, I mean, those comments, it hurt you, but you got into good shape. And I will say, you seem like a happier person since that happened.
I definitely feel happier.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a positive life change that came from that. It got in my head, and I'm glad it did because I probably wouldn't have made the change otherwise.
People asking more questions. Now, again, you don't have to answer these questions, Suits. They want to know what your favorite sex position is.
I mean,
wow, yippee-yo.
It's a good position. I don't have a problem with a little cowgirl either. I mean, hey, you can't look at me like I shouldn't be saying this because it weirds you out if you ask me the question.
No, that doesn't weird me out. What do you all of a sudden out of the blue go, coming? I'm just kidding. If someone wants to call, Becky in the chat room wants to call out Virginia. I am #Team Witch all day, but I had to call Virginia out for bailing and not telling us about her dream.
Yeah.
Call her out Wednesday. Yeah, she would have told the dream, and she'll tell it tomorrow.
For sure.
it goes back to what we first started talking about. Virginia made all of these plans and all of these appointments, and she did a Rocco dentist appointment at 9:30 today, so that's why she's not here. She had the dentist with Rocco.
That's fine. She'll tell us.
She told us a little bit about it. It's pretty weird.
It's definitely weird. And I can see why she couldn't tell on the air. It's not something insane. It's more so just to actually tell the story properly. It would use some words that we couldn't use on it.
Someone during that, when we were talking dreams earlier today, I don't know if you saw the text message, but they said, kind of like how I have night terrors, they can't stop having sexual dreams. And they have, it's basically every single night, and they're having hot, intense sex dreams with people they shouldn't be having sex with. And it's nothing like family members, but it's like the grocery store woman that makes his sandwich. Like I believe the deli woman was on the list of people he's having, and he said she's in her 70s and he's in his 20s, and he wants to know what all that meant. Why is he having so many sex dreams?
Yeah, you wonder if he's just having sex dreams and now he's attaching them to just people he sees in daily life because he's running out of people to attach them to.
Basically, he was having sex dreams with people he wasn't attracted to, people he was attracted to, but it was still so common.
Yeah. Huh. I'd imagine, I mean, how old is he, did he say?
He was in his 20s.
In his 20s?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the time you're going to be having sex dreams.
You're just horny.
Yeah, you're just horny. I didn't always not have dreams. It's a weird thing. It was a latent issue. I'd say around 26, I just completely stopped having dreams. I used to have very vivid dreams before that. So, and people I know, a lot of people in text earlier were saying if you smoke pot, that can disrupt your dreams, or drink alcohol. I totally agree. Both of those things will disrupt your dreams.
Yeah, they will.
That being said, in my early 20s, I did still smoke pot, and I did still have pretty wild dreams.
But I think
I know people that smoke pot that have dreams.
But I believe your body chemistry changes within, like, I think every 7 years, our bodies kind of change, and even if it's like the slightest little thing.
Yeah, it's just whatever it be, whether my memory no longer retains them, I just no longer possess the capacity to remember dreams.
Angie Hollywood in the chat room says, I had a sex dream about Panda last night.
Wow.
We've actually gotten text messages of people who have had sex dreams about Panda.
Getting that bamboo.
Yeah. If you've had a sex dream about someone from the KVJ show, let us know in the comment section.
Yeah, always send those in.
Yeah, send us in. We'd love to read those.
Just because it's hilarious.
No matter how weird it gets. If you had a dream
Weirder
about,
the better.
Yeah, if you had a dream about banging Kevin, we want to hear about that.
Panda. That's funny. He's been in the background of the camera a few times this week, coming in and out between his work shift. So I wonder if that's why. She's been seeing him.
People find Panda very attractive. Panda's a good-looking guy. Good chicks have always dug Panda.
Yeah, he's got great hair, by the way.
Great hair. Gosh, that's such good hair.
Pull on it.
I just want to just tug on that thing.
Tossle it.
Yeah. Let's read a couple emails. Let's see here. We got talk about the urinal. We talked about that yesterday. People putting urinals in their house.
I've seen houses that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you get the money, you could do it. Suzanne says, my dad put a urinal in his bathroom, and it's amazing. I thought it was gross at first. Let me tell you, the toilet is always clean. No more pee drips. Do it. You won't regret it.
Yeah, I could see if having that, definitely. So maybe the urinal itself will get gross from getting peed into. I think it's just nature of the beast. But I bet you it keeps the toilet way cleaner, dude. It has to, because it's being used less.
To me, I won't say the restaurant. It's a chain restaurant. It's a restaurant I like very much. And I went into their bathroom. And we're talking like 1 p.m. So there's a lot of people there. And the bathroom could not smell and look any. I mean, there was every toilet had shit in there. There was toilet paper on the ground. It looked like no one had cleaned that thing in 7 days, and it made me not want to eat there.
Well, yeah, because you're like, clearly you're not putting any effort into this event. There's somebody at dinner that's going to use that bathroom and see that.
You got to clean the bathroom at a restaurant, man. I'm sorry, even if you have to take someone off of the wait staff and then go in there for 20 minutes on every hour, you can't have a dirty bathroom.
I don't think there's any place that it's worse than a restaurant if the bathroom's disgusting, because then I start thinking about the kitchen. It gets in my head.
Yeah, well, because you would have to envision that the employees also use that restroom, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that immediately ruins it for you. I don't know. There's a couple things as a business that you just have to keep clean.
That's one of them. Did you see that story that dropped, that Burger King story?
Yeah.
A woman got a chicken sandwich, and I think it took a bite out of it. It was raw chicken.
I almost did that for the Whacked Out News. I should have did that one. But yeah, no, so I read the article. A woman, she did, and she showed it back to the people and said, look at this thing's raw. And they offered her a refund. That was it. That's what made her so mad, which is why she took it to the the tail. But I've had the same thing. I got, and I'm not going to say it, and I've told the story before, either actually on air, Weird and Whatever, and after the show podcast, so I apologize.
It stuck with you quite a bit.
Don't worry, people are going to give. I'm reading the chat room now. Someone always has something to say. We're always going to go on a topic that someone doesn't like. Just do you.
I got wicked poisoned. I feel like they threw the chicken into the fryer and then just immediately pulled it right back out because I bit into it. But here's the catch. The sauce was so thick that it was like a molasses. It soaked every crevice of this fried chicken.
You were so sick.
I couldn't tell that the chicken wasn't even cooked at all because the sauce was so thick that I ate about 2.5 pieces before I was like, this is the most rubbery chicken I've ever had. But I still didn't know at the moment that it was raw. It wasn't until I started barfing everywhere, and then I looked at it and I saw it was completely uncooked in the middle. I ate literally raw chicken.
Yeah, that's rough. Chicken with the feathers in it. People, we talk
that's
about
pretty
that.
bad.
But people,
Or a claw.
It has. Oh, the claw.
Well, sometimes the claw will still be attached.
You ever crack an egg and there's blood in it? It's disgusting.
No, I haven't.
Wow,
Suits.
Suits, that's the grossest thing I've ever heard.
It's happened.
Other than
I've seen it.
Other than you talk about coming, that's the grossest thing.
That one trumps the other one.
That's the grossest thing I've ever. I have not heard of that, Suits.
I've never
It's
heard that
pretty
either, but I
gross
can
and
imagine.
shocking when it happened.
I can imagine that happening. I've just never, put the thought into
Shocking for everyone involved, including the little chicken.
it. Oh, jeez.
It was pretty rough.
Let's see here. The other Jay Pennington.
Yeah, go to any other topic.
Yeah, any other topic other than yeah.
I killed that one.
No, you're fine.
I was curious if Suits had an alter ego battle going on with the new traffic guy. No, there's no need for an alter ego.
I don't need an alter ego.
Yeah, so Cy Dobbins, the guy who's doing
the British guy who's doing traffic.
I'm letting y'all know right now, it's on borrowed time. Because we are getting complaints. People who don't listen to the KVJ show but that fall onto RMF,
Yes.
they do not like tomfoolery, especially Jaybird tomfoolery. And in fact, some of them think it's a real fucking British guy.
That's the best part.
How? I have the worst British accent ever.
Yeah, they think he's a real British guy, and they say that his news is accurate, but it's not timely.
So give me your British accent. Try to give me your best British accent.
Oh, we're talking with a British accent here.
Are you a little Cockney, are you?
I'm trying to do a little cockney for you.
Okay, all right.
Oh, there I might be from the pub.
Okay, go to the pub, you get some suds.
Or should I do a British accent like this? Kind of the back of my throat, like I'm trying to interview you about something.
Okay, yeah, so there is different levels of British Suits.
British is tough,
Absolutely.
man.
That's not an easy one.
I suck at all accents.
I think if I
do too.
go more slower like this, I feel like it sounds even worse.
Like,
Or
I picture your name to be like Nigel.
Nigel or a Cy.
Cy too.
Cy Dobbins.
It's less common, yeah.
Side Dobbins.
All right, let's hear your terrible British accent.
I'm from Southampton, mate.
Keep going.
A little bit north of Liverpool in the United Kingdom.
So you got a little regalness to you.
Little Regal, yes.
you're
Buckingham Palace is where I'm from.
So it's got a little Game of Thrones going there.
I've actually never seen that, so I wouldn't know what the hell it sounds like.
I'm so glad we're
He sounds like Miss Doubtfire.
Do it again?
You would deny a Doubtfire, dear.
Oh, dude, you sound just like her.
Say her name again.
It's Euphemia Doubtfire. I can't remember her first name.
What is
It's
her-
something weird.
What is her?
It's something
Something
close
like
to that.
that.
Somebody
Like
in the
Eleanor or
Yeah,
something.
please in the chat room.
Mrs.
Who knows Mrs. Doubtfire's first name?
He
You're
says
right.
something really weird.
I don't know what a Doubtfire, dear. That's pretty good, Sue.
I saw the whole thing. It says run by fruiting.
They're saying you sound Irish, but I think it crushed
Close
it, man.
enough. One island over.
I think it sounded good.
Well, I mean, they're all kind of derived from the same. Scotland, Ireland.
Well, do it in the accent.
Euphemia. Wait a minute. Now I went like. I'm trying to. This is such a weird word. Euphemia Doubtfire, dear.
Dude, I mean, everything except
It's
for Euphemia.
Euphemia.
Are we all fans? Do we all love that movie?
I love Mrs. Doubtfire.
That's such a good one.
There's some sadness in it too. It gets real.
There is. It really is.
So I think that's why that movie works because so we've talked about it in the past. Comedies are hit and miss because if they're too goofy, there's no substance to it. It's popcorn, it's fodder. But if there's heart to it or it has something profound, a sadness, anything of that glimpse, it almost knocks it into another category.
That's what made me fall in love with The Office because
Yes.
The
Such a
Office
great
is
show.
very, very goofy, especially in the beginning. But it does have a level of heart to it, to where you sometimes watch it and you'd think you're like, oh, that was interesting. They turned Michael Scott, which is played by Steve Carell, if you don't know the show, who's really over the top and goofy, but you know, at the end of the day, he's hurting. He's a person who's so insecure about life. He's trying so hard.
Well, that story arc is just incredibly the way they did it. And, you know, I never watched The Office. You guys actually convinced me to, because I just never really got it. And seriously, that is my favorite show I've ever watched. I've seen every episode of that in like a year twice. You guys got me so addicted to that. It's so good.
If you look at Michael Scott as a character, he is an unbelievable character. If you were to just take his hijinks, if you were to just constantly bombarded with hijinks, he's an unbelievable character. Where that show excels is they show his moments of humanity, parts that I relate to, and I'm like, wow, I got a part of Michael Scott in me.
Well, they do that with movies too. They'll show
Absolutely.
some
Well, those are the
badass
ones that
or some
succeed.
tough guy or some tough woman, and then they have that moment like. An hour,
The Heart of Gold.
An hour and 5 minutes into the movie, and they break down and cry in a room by themselves. You're like, oh, okay, all right, they are hurting.
Absolutely.
And it does. It's a great story or a character arc.
What was that? And I'm sure we'll get flack for it, but that movie Blue Shift, or was that Night Shift? Night
Shift from the 80s, yes, with Michael Keaton and Henry Winkler.
So that's a goofy movie, but there is one moment of heart that Michael Keaton gives you that makes that character, you're like, I have a part of him, and that's what makes that movie excel in my eyes, because otherwise it's a goofy 80s movie.
Even Jim Carrey, I almost like Jim Carrey, serious actor, better than... Well, no, but he does great stuff as
he's
as
fantastic
a goofy guy.
as Goofy.
I mean, that's where you could argue he made
That's his
money.
bread and butter.
But when he legit acts, even Adam Sandler, I love Punch Drunk Love.
Robin Williams,
another one. When they do serious shit, I do like that.
Well, yeah, because what those three people have in common is they're all incredibly expressive. You can tell what they're feeling by the way they're acting, and they capture that really well. And that's, I mean, the Truman Show. I'm sure everybody's seen it by this point. I'm sure
That's a good movie.
But that movie is so well done because, I mean, everybody's had that thought as a kid, and then to make a whole movie about it, and then to take a character who's goofy, because he does show moments of goofy in that, but he shows incredible moments of humanity in that.
Did you think that when you were a kid, Suits, that you possibly... You're
the
whole
only
life was
real
being
person.
broadcasted, and everyone is in on it.
We're all robots, or we're all just whatever we are, actors.
I had that feeling before I saw that movie.
Absolutely,
and
everybody did.
Talking to other people, I didn't know other people had that thought.
I didn't really either until that
tapped
movie.
Into something.
You're right. Everybody relates to that immediately.
And you realize, you're not being broadcasted.
And it's led because Truman Show, the whole show's about that one guy. You need a really strong character, a real strong person to carry that entire movie. And I thought Jim Carrey was an excellent choice in casting in that. And he, through that whole movie, goes through, I feel, all the emotions a person would go through if they found out they were being filmed their entire life.
I know people don't like it, because if you don't watch The Office, you don't know what the fuck we're talking
For
about.
sure.
And I totally
There's a big demo of the people that watch
There
it.
is, and I totally understand that. That's why when we talk about Big Brother and we go on too long, I almost get this like internal clock.
Understood.
But I do want to say in the chat room, only reason why I'm bringing it up is someone they said their favorite episode is my favorite episode. In the chat room, they said the best episode is Dinner Party, and Dinner Party.
That's such a great episode.
We'll move along, but I saw that in the chat room.
That's
awesome.
a great one.
It's a great episode.
There's a subreddit too says I can't watch Scott's Tots.
I love Scott's Tots. I think
can't
that's
watch
so
that one.
funny.
Are you guys getting excited for Halloween?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every year, not only for the weather, but the environment, the costumes, the season.
I want to give a big shout out to my next door neighbor. They've already put up some Halloween decorations, and I love it. I was walking Chewy yesterday.
Oh, I just saw them.
Yeah, they did a great job. It's right next door to me.
Spiderweb.
Spiderweb, some skeletons up there, and it's been windy out. I love me a windy October, baby. I don't want to sweat my ass off.
Well, so I typically find, and it doesn't hold true 100%, so I mean, give me some leeway, but each time we get towards the end of October into November, I do notice that the weather starts to make the change. It doesn't quite always, but I feel like this year, for the first time, we kind of got glimpses of cooler weather earlier, which we haven't had in like 3 years.
Be prepared for all of the Halloween topics. I'm calling it right now. Someone's going to take a very benign costume, like a mechanic costume, and then it'll turn into sexy mechanic, and then people will be fucking outraged.
It already
on
happened.
Twitter. Oh, are they?
It was the sexy Mr. Rogers costume they came out with. People were losing their minds. This was just last week.
It happens every single year. We talk about it. Kevin will have the topic. Oh, sexy Mr. Rogers. People are mad. People will be all pissed off for 10 minutes, and they'll move on to the next thing that they're mad about. That means jack shit.
You know what costume I saw that was so stupid, but they're trying to be so trendy. It was a vegan burger costume, but it just looks like a burger. So how are you supposed to know it's vegan? There's nothing different. It's such a stupid costume, but they're trying to be so trendy with the whole vegan thing.
Yeah.
The whole vegan or the plant-based diet is definitely catching on. They got into the machine of marketing, and it's everywhere right now.
Well, when commercial businesses carry it, that's how you can know it's kind of catching on. When multiple.
Well, I'm even noticing at Publix. I've gone to Publix a couple times to get the plant-based burgers, and they're sold out of them.
Yeah.
So it's. I don't know if everyone's into them or not. And are they that much healthier for you?
No, they still. So here's the thing. It all depends on how you interpret the word healthy. Are you trying to lose weight? Because that's different from being healthy.
Agreed.
You can achieve both in the same, but there are a lot of diets out there and crash courses that you can do to lose weight, not necessarily be healthy.
Well, I was doing those burgers, but double cheeseburger style, and I'm eating healthy, and I can't.
So you might not
7
lose
pounds.
weight, but here's where the argument, and I'm sure again people get really fired up when you bring up the plant-based foods, but what I think they're trying to encourage is just people to eat more plant-based stuff. Don't cut out red meat. You can still eat red meat. You can still eat white meat. You can still eat whatever you want. Just try to incorporate more plant-based into your diet. I think that's the issue. And we were talking earlier with digestive issues. People have had the last 10 years, digestive issues seems to have increased with people, and you wonder if it's just because of the availability of all the foods, the decadent foods that we can get. Now we don't even have to leave our house to go to a restaurant. We can have them delivered. All this has to be causing some sort of turmoil in our bodies.
You talk about that. I think I have to swear off candy. The last 2 days, I've snacked on it, and it has made me so sick where I've just been throwing up afterward. It's disgusting. I don't think I can have candy anymore.
Don't be a little bitch, Suits. Power through
I
that
don't
shit.
know. I mean, it's good for the diet not to have it, but it's making me sick all the time. Like now I get what Denny's is talking about, being a little like bitch in the stomach.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you for that segue. Yeah, I'm a little bitch about it, but yeah.
I am too.
I love me some sweets. I do. I love sweets. And I crave them late at night. Past
I do
9
too.
p.m., that is when I want to just fucking lay with some chocolate.
Well, think about it. Your body is trying to crash, is trying to go down so you can go to sleep. So maybe you're interpreting the sugar rush as actually your body's trying to be like, all right, motherfucker, try to go to bed.
I do wonder that. There's a lot of times I'm so tired and I'll go under and I wake up and I'm still tired, but I'm hungry. And then I force myself to get up to go make, like a slice of pie or something. And you're right, my body's saying, Bird, go to bed. Just surrender. Just go with it.
Well, the light, they say the blue light from computers and TVs and all that fun stuff, that tricks our bodies. Our brain interprets that as daytime. So it's like, all right, you got to stay awake because it's daytime.
I saw a study that said if you sleep with the TV on, it makes you more likely to overeat at night. I don't know how that has any
It's probably
correlation,
because it's keeping you up.
but that's what it said.
It's keeping you up, and you're doing an activity, and I can see how.
Even
that's
if-
when I get hungry. Is when I'm watching shit. I'm laying down. I'm all cozy. All my daily duties are done, and now I can just be
The comfort.
And now I'm just like, I want some fucking moose pie right now.
Yeah. Well, so think about it. Through the day, you keep yourself up because you drink, and I'm not blowing your cover, but you drink sugary drinks
Damn it,
throughout the
Denny's,
day.
why gotta let people
I
know
hear you. I hear
Why
you.
gotta let people know that?
So at night, you're probably crashing just from drinking a lot of sugar throughout the day, and then it wants what your body is telling you. Sugar is an addictive ingredient as well, man. Just like nicotine, just like alcohol.
I'm about to go through another run.
You're probably going through a little bit of a crash at night, and that's why your body wants sugar.
I'm gonna go through. So I have to stay at the hotel one of these nights. I think over the weekend because we have that whole ghost thing going on. I think once I get this whole ghost problem in my place taken care of. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we've got video. We put video camera on me and we rolled it for a good 16 hours.
They rolled you overnight sleeping.
Yeah, sleeping, and we have all of this footage. Now I have not seen this footage yet, but from what I understand, there's supposedly some really good ghost footage of something attacking me while I'm sleeping and doing all kind of shit to me while I'm sleeping. Again, I haven't seen that, but when I get all of that taken care of, I want to kind of go on another rebuilding bird kind of a thing.
Yeah. It's probably hard to sleep with all that going on.
It is, because last night I could have swore I was hearing whispering from my closet, and is it in my head now, or is it really some
at this
motherfucker
point,
whispering in my closet?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so that's the tough thing about the paranormal for me, because it only takes one thing to trigger you to start feeling psychosomatic effects.
It's like this new place is alive. every appliance. You've heard all.
You've said it
Well,
since
you've heard
the
the
moment.
appliances.
Well, so the moment your foot stepped into this place, you've always made mention about how it had a weird feeling to you.
It's like I can't explain it, Suits. You should stay there tonight.
You know, I'm good. I know you're selling it really good, but I think I'm going to just stay in my place. I don't have any demons trying to like jump on my chest when I sleep.
Yeah, so Metalbeard Dick in the chat room. I'm sorry, Metalbeard Dan in the chat room. He is he's our skeptic. I don't think he believes in ghosts and all that. And I totally get what Metalbeard's talking. If you've never experienced it before, and you hear some goofy radio guy talking about it all the time on the air, I absolutely get why people would think that I'm lying or I have an agenda to push. I mean, I would think probably a good amount of that too. But I've had personal experiences,
So that's why you're more on that side.
Well, that's why I can talk about it and not. I can take the heat on that.
Yeah.
Because I know in my heart what I've seen, what I've experienced. So, but to Metalbeard Dan, people like that don't believe in it. I get why. I understand. That's why I want to get more footage.
Well, that's why you want to see the footage. You want to see what it's all about because you haven't seen it either.
No, I mean, people always say, well, why do you bring in furniture that a dead person died on? Why do you have a Ouija board? Why do you do seances? Well, my whole goal is to prove on camera that this shit is really happening. And if you can't prove it on camera and you're doing all that stuff, no one's ever going to believe you. I'm sorry. You can have EVPs up the ass. No one's going to believe you until you see something with your own eyes.
Yeah, you're right. Camera, the picture's worth 1,000 words, they say, you know.
Do they say it?
Yeah. Well, so I'm sure that's been adjusted these days, but... Yeah, no. So I guess to Metalbeard Dan's point, like I've seeked out paranormal experiences in my youth, and I've gotten nothing. So I'm on the more of a skeptic side. Now that being said, I'm not staunch against disbelieving in ghosts. I never want people to think ever that I would 100% shun or not take something into consideration. It's more so that if I haven't had the experience, I can't speak on that.
Angie Hollywood in the chat room says, you're bringing this all on yourself, Bird. I'm not denying that. I'm actually right here admitting that I am totally bringing this on myself.
Yeah.
I want fucking proof of this stuff. I mean, I really do. I'm into it. I've always been into it. And
you're in a point in your life where
I'm sick.
You know people that can help you out with these type of things.
And I'm sick of just talking about it. If I can try to prove it. Now, whether that can happen or not, that's the holy grail, Denny's.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, no, I am absolutely bringing this on myself. I don't deny that.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the study that's going on here is to see if whether this is something that's attached to you. Is this something that you carry with you? Does it happen in other places? Can
a human actually really invite things in? I mean, there's a good 50% of our audience, when we talk about ghosts, they go, all right, guys, move on. You're dumb. They're not real. This is the dumbest shit ever.
It's half and half.
It's
half
very
people think that
polarizing.
there's a spiritual world. Half of them think it's psychosomatic and you're creating these own issues in your mind.
Where are you at, Suits, with this?
So I'm kind of like Denny's on it. I'm open to all of it. I just have never had anything in my life where I've experienced anything that seemed paranormal. So it's kind of a weird spot to be in. I'm probably a little bit more skeptical, but I'm open to the idea of it. And if I saw something that looked like proof, I'm like, all right, this is crazy. I believe this.
That's why I never. And again, I'm not at all trying to talk trash about anybody, but you talk with an atheist who doesn't believe in anything after you die, and then you ask them why, and then they'll give you their theory, and then I will always say this, and it doesn't do anything. If this plane, what we're doing here, I personally think life is weird.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about it a little bit on the show today. Just the fact that we exist is I really do look at it as a miracle. I mean,
it is.
It is.
Even if you were to go from an atheist stance, that bacteria, evolved over time into the creatures that we have now on the planet. That each thing fell into a role like that. How the fuck did that happen?
Well,
that's still a question. Even if you were to take God or a spiritualism or some higher entity out of the equation, why the hell are there planets in blackness?
Even if you're the greatest mind,
know?
if you're the greatest mind on the planet, if you strip everything down, it's still weird why we're here on this plane or in this this universe.
Well,
so if this is possible and this is so bizarre, why is the thought of going to another level in the afterlife, why is that so bizarre? You know what I mean?
We were floating on a ball in infinite space. I mean, it's crazy. So I don't don't discredit anything, because how is any of this really possible, you know?
Well, that's why I don't subscribe to atheism. I find that almost equally as offensive to me as somebody who is pushing their religion on me.
Because they're both saying
They're
know
both
100%.
pushy. Yeah, that's the one thing I can take solace in every time my eyes close and I go to bed, is that nobody has the answer. Not one person with feet on the ground has the answer.
We say that a lot on our Weird and Whatever, and we get shit for that, because people then, by us saying that, I think some people interpret that as we are poo-pooing on religion,
Yes.
and we're calling you wrong, and we are not at all saying that.
It's absolutely not that.
What I'm saying, and I share the same philosophy as you, as not one human being knows what happens when you die. If you're living,
you don't know the
you
answer.
don't know. You have faith and you have theories,
And you interpret what you feel is the right answer.
and I respect all of that.
Absolutely.
But you just don't know. And so that's my whole thing, not knowing this magical thing that is happening, that is life.
Yeah.
If this is possible, it's not out of the realm for me personally to think another level's possible.
Absolutely. And to say that there's no higher entity, or that there is a higher entity, and then be in the same planet where some creatures fly, some creatures swim. You know, it's like, seriously, there's a lot of things on this planet, and they're all so varied, and life finds a way. And like you said, it's a miracle that we even have life. If you were to zoom out, and that we're just the perfect position from the sun, and that we coincidentally have water, and then all these things happen, that's still pretty impressive that all of that happened.
Motor City Mongo says the Atsp, the After the Show podcast, turned into the Weird and Whatever podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately,
Yeah.
if you leave us to our own devices, we're going to just be who we are.
And we're 46 minutes in. We could wrap this bad boy
all
up.
right.
on.
Well, we gave a little extra content. No, I don't know if it was any good, but we gave it extra.
You got extra whether you wanted it or not.
Well, thank you guys for listening. We're going to be back to Virginia, myself, Denny's tomorrow. Suits, everyone will be here but Kevin. Thank you guys. We love you all. Bigfoot is real.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems, ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.